Hey, Spacebound, how you doing? I was just taking a look at these articles for the signs of domestic violence. I'm going to start off with taking a look at an article posted by WebMD. What are the signs of domestic abuse? The first part reads, they're not always as obvious as you might think. That's because domestic abuse is about controlling someone's mind and emotions as much as hurting their body. Being abused can leave you scared and confused. It can be hard for you to see your partner's actions for what they really are. The part about the money is interesting when you think about the case of Christopher Watts. It says your partner controls your money, keeps cash and credit cards from you, puts you on an allowance and makes you explain every dollar you spend, keeps you from working whatever job you want, steals money from you or your friends, won't let you have money for basic needs like food and clothes. The next section is your partner cuts you off from family and friends. It says they keep close tabs on where you go and who you go with. They make you ask for an okay to see friends and family. And they embarrass you in front of others, and it makes you want to avoid people. I think those two headings are very interesting, specific to this case. I think the financial one is kind of obvious, isn't it? Keeps cash and credit cards from you, puts you on an allowance. Even the job thing, wasn't that really interesting how he trained for all those years to be a master mechanic and then he took a different job? And then the part about cutting you off from family and friends, keeps close tabs on where you go and who you're with. That one seemed kind of obvious, really. Makes you ask for an okay to see friends and family. Remember when they were in North Carolina, he was asking permission to be able to see his own parents and to be able to allow his parents to see Bella and Cece. And then the one that says embarrasses you in front of others and it makes you want to avoid people. Do you remember how we were told a long time ago how when they first met that she would be offensive to his friends, and then he would show up the next day or two and he would apologize for her behavior and he would tell his friends that she was just having a bad day. Why do you think it is that in the case of Christopher Watts, we're supposed to, I guess that's what the scumbag attackers want anyway, we're supposed to ignore how Christopher Watts was being treated? I think it was Cindy Watts who said that everybody walked on eggshells around her daughter-in-law. Why are we supposed to ignore that in our case discussions? Why are we supposed to pretend that because she was a woman, that she was just bossy? Why is it okay for a woman to treat her husband poorly then she's just bossy. But if a man treated his wife that way, I don't think there'd be too many people calling that bossy. Here's a different one. Let's see here. This one says signs of abuse. Okay, this is more about physical abuse. What are the warning signs of an abuser? Extreme jealousy, possessiveness, unpredictability, a bad temper, cruelty to animals, verbal abuse, extremely controlling behavior, antiquated beliefs about roles of women and men, sabotage of birth control methods, blaming the victim for anything bad that happens, sabotage or obstruction or attend school, controls all of the finances, abuse of other family members, children, or pets, accusations of the victim having an affair, control of what the victim wears and how they act, demeaning the victim either privately or publicly, embarrass or humiliate the victim in front of others, harassment of the victim at work. Interesting. Let's check out a couple more. Here we go. What are the signs of domestic violence or abuse? What can I do if I'm being abused? What can happen if I don't get help? How common? How are gender? Did we answer your questions? Let's see. Here's the Mayo Clinic. Let's see what they say. It says recognize domestic violence. Domestic violence, also called intimate partner violence, occurs between people in an intimate relationship. Domestic violence can take many forms, including emotional, sexual, and physical abuse and threats of abuse. Domestic violence can happen in heterosexual or same-sex relationships. Abusive relationships always involve an imbalance of power and control. An abuser uses intimidating, hurtful words and behaviors to control his or her partner. It might not be easy to identify domestic violence at first. While some relationships are clearly abusive from the outset, abuse often starts subtly and gets worse over time. You might be experiencing domestic violence if you're in a relationship with someone who calls you names, insults you, or puts you down, prevents or discourages you from going to work or school, or seeing family members or friends, tries to control how you spend money, where you go, what medicines you take, or what you wear, acts jealous or possessive or constantly accuses you of being unfaithful, gets angry when drinking alcohol or using drugs, tries to control whether you can see a healthcare provider, threatens you, hits, kicks, shoves, slaps, chokes, or otherwise hurts you, your children, or your pets. Blames you for their behavior and threatens to tell friends and family and colleagues or community members your personal information. I'm just scrolling down further. I'm going to go ahead and read these. These are things that you should do. It says to protect your communication and location. Before that, it says create a safety plan. Call a shelter. Pack an emergency bag. That includes items you'll need when you leave, such as extra clothes and keys. Leave the bag in a safe place. Keep important personal papers, money, and any prescription medications handy so you can take them with you on short notice. And then know exactly where you'll go and how you'll get there. Interesting. Isn't that cute? Spacebound, it looks like there are two of us, right? So that's a pretty interesting ratio. 13 to 2. I wonder if that's one scumbag attacker with 13 profiles. Let's see if there's another one here. Oh, this is interesting. It's from the UnitedNations.org, the UN.org. And it says, what is domestic abuse? It can be defined as a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. Abuse is physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological actions or threats of actions that influence another person. This includes any behaviors that frighten, intimidate, terrorize, manipulate, hurt, humiliate, blame, injure, or wound someone. Domestic violence or domestic abuse can happen to anyone of any race, age, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. It can occur within a range of relationships, including couples who are married, living together, or dating. Domestic violence affects people of all socioeconomic backgrounds and education levels. And then it says at the bottom, are you being abused? And then it says, recognizing the signs of domestic abuse. Does your partner embarrass or make fun of you in front of your friends or family? Does your partner put down your accomplishments? Make you feel like you are unable to make decisions? Use intimidation or threats to gain compliance? Tell you that you are nothing without them? Treat you roughly, grab, push, pinch, shove, or hit you? Call you several times a night or show up to make sure you are where you said you would be? Blame you for how they feel or act? Make you feel like there is no way out of the relationship? Prevent you from doing things you want, like spending time with friends or family? try to keep you from leaving after a fight or leave you somewhere after a fight to teach you a lesson? Do you sometimes feel scared of how your partner may behave? Do you constantly make excuses to other people for your partner's behavior? Do you believe that you can help your partner change if only you change something about yourself? Do you try not to do anything that would cause conflict or make your partner angry? Do you always do what your partner wants you to do instead of what you want? Do you stay with your partner because you are afraid of what your partner would do if you broke up? Emotional abuse includes undermining a person's sense of self-worth through constant criticism, belittling one's abilities, name-calling, or other verbal abuse, damaging a partner's relationship with the children, or not letting a partner see friends and family. You may be in an emotionally abusive relationship if your partner calls you names, insults you, or continually criticizes you, does not trust you, and acts in a jealous or possessive manner, tries to isolate you from family or friends, monitors where you go, who you call, and who you spend your time with, does not want you to work, controls finances, or refuses to share money, punishes you by withholding affection, expects you to ask permission, threatens to hurt you, the children, your family, or your pets, humiliates you in any way. Financial or economic abuse involves making or attempting to make a person financially dependent by maintaining total control over financial resources, withholding access to money, and or forbidding attendance at their job. Interesting. How many times did Christopher Watts miss work? Weren't we told by coworkers that he missed a lot of work because the kids were sick all the time? And I think that's important that early on in the relationship that we were told Christopher Watts' wife did not want him to continue working out at the gym. And when he would invite her, of course, to go along with him to his friends' homes, that she would insult them and their homes and their dishes. And then he would show up afterwards and apologize for her behavior. Remember, too, the time I think he was supposed to take his friend to the airport, and he was told that he couldn't leave to take his friend to the airport until he finished cleaning the basement. Denise has a little attitude tonight. So, Denise, I'll say this. If you want to discuss the case, feel free to stay. Otherwise, how about you, FOH? So let's look at that list again. embarrass or make fun of you in front of your friends or family. Do you guys remember that life-size checkerboard routine where she was on the phone with somebody laughing at him and calling him loser? Remember that? Try to look at that through a gender-free lens. If that was a woman standing alone on the life-size checkerboard and her husband was sitting up there on the phone laughing at his wife with a friend on the phone and then saying loser, I don't think anybody would be thinking that was funny. But she's female, so she was just bossy, right? Think for yourself as giving examples: introvert, bankruptcy, debt, SW being somewhat controlling. Without those, there is no way anyone would believe the official narrative. I'll start at the beginning. Think for yourself says, I can see MM's point on why it may seem as though CW was controlled. However, in my opinion, that was one of the minute motives they gave us as to why Chris may have did what he did. But it seemed so obvious to so many of us that I wonder if we're supposed to accept that role for men as a society. If we're supposed to say, oh yeah, that's okay, she was just bossy. She was just bossy. Is it bossy to say no? I think she said over my dead body about him taking the girls to see his parents. If that was a man saying no, you cannot take the children to see your mother and father, wouldn't that be a controlling abuser? If it was a man who said, give me your paycheck, and I don't mean literally anymore, it used to be they'd show up on pay, right? But if it was a man who had total control over the finances to the extent that the woman didn't even know that the bills were not getting paid or have any clue what his actual income would be, wouldn't people be saying, wow, what an abuser? Are we supposed to learn from this case that when a woman treats a man that way, that's okay? That we're not supposed to question it at all because she's female? So we're just, I guess, supposed to say that because she's female, well, she's just, I guess female. Yet how many people said that they had to block her on social media because she was so pushy? Remember that one man who spoke to us about belonging to one of the Facebook groups that she got booted out of? And she wouldn't leave his wife alone, his wife who actually does have lupus. She wouldn't stop calling their phones, and they had to get their phone numbers changed because she refused to stop harassing them by phone. If we were hearing that about Christopher Watts, wouldn't we be saying, wow, what an abuser? What a weirdo, right? Or let's try this one on for size. If Christopher Watt's wife had a job and she kept missing work and he was sitting on his duff at home, not working, and demanding that she take time off work every time one of the kids was sick, what do you think her coworkers would be saying? I think they might be saying, wow, he sits on his duff at home while she's the one working. And then when the kids are sick, she has to take time off work too. So why are we not allowing or applying, I think is a better word. Why are we not applying the same expectations for Christopher Watts as we would be applying for his wife? And I don't want to spend too much time on the whole scumbag attacker thing because they are so not worth our time. But if you've been observing any of the scumbag attacker routines in the last 3 years, the same question applies. Why is it okay for scumbag attackers to abuse other people? Why is that okay? Well, I mean, according to them, it's okay, right? All they have to do is do a little virtue signaling, and then they can bash, they can dox, they can commit defamation, slander, libel. They can say and do whatever they want to say and do, as long as they put, the prayer hands and that string of hearts, right, in their comments. They lie pretty much every time they talk. That's what abusers do. So why is it that when those of us they're attacking speak up and say, wow, they're a bunch of losers, right? Criminal records, e-beggars, scumbags, then we're the bad guy, right? We're the bad guy for saying, wow, criminal records, e-beggars, right? So are they trying to make e-begging look normal? You guys do know that YouTube is free, right? Are they trying to normalize lying? Are they trying to normalize drug use, or I should say drug abuse? Are they trying to normalize hatred and harassment? Are they trying to normalize defamation? Is that part of their experiment? Is that part of what they've been recruited to take part in? Are they trying to frighten people into silence? Because that's what abusers do. They want to attack people. They want to have their scapegoats and attack people, and then they, pull out all the stops and say and do so many terrible things. And then other people watch it and say, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, look at what happens if you say your own opinion on the case. Yes, I agree with you. Think for yourself. They're trying to demonize the white middle class male as well. And they're also trying to demonize any person who is taking part in the case discussion who is not joining in. If we say the simple question, if we ask the simple question, was Christopher Watts a battered husband? Then they run to their little perches and say, I was France's video and she's saying that Christopher Watts was battered. Okay. They don't join in the discussion. They don't ask questions. They don't even give their own opinion in the discussion, right? They add that to their list. Kind of like when they say, I was just over at Miss Mensa's live chat and she said that, oh, let me see, because I have it here in an email. She said, quote, Shannon's baby wasn't Christopher Watts. Well, actually, that isn't what I said, but remember, abusers are liars, right? So that's kind of interesting. That's another one on their list. That's how an abuser operates. They feel so insecure that they can only function, I guess, at whatever level by lying. Interesting. I think the parallels between the case itself and the behaviors that we're seeing in the last 3 years on social media are rather alarming, actually. Because so far, what I've seen going on has been a whole lot of abusers hopping on their little channels and trying to abuse others in the same way that I think many of us see may have been happening behind closed doors on Saratoga Trail leading up to the tragedy. Think for Yourself says they want people to think that if someone like CW can up and murder his entire family for pretty much no reason, then what's stopping your own husband or your own significant other from doing the same to you? What they don't want is for anybody to actually take a closer look at the details of the case and to seriously question whether or not Christopher Watts actually killed anybody. I want to say one other thing about the scumbag attackers before I move on. A few of the comments that have been posted on the channel recently, and a few of the scumbag attackers in their ridiculous live chats, have included this bullshit. It's time for you to talk about a different case. If you want to convince me that you're a scumbag attacker, that's exactly how you can do it. Because if you believe that the case of Christopher Watts is the only true crime case that I discuss, then you're not doing your homework. That's part of the false narrative, is that this case is so popular and this case has millions of people who care. This true crime case is one of the least popular of all. This case is not the true crime case that most true crimers are discussing. This is the only true crime case that so many scumbag attackers have been circling around. I think they seem to think that if they keep repeating it over and over again, that there are millions of people who care about this case. Then maybe people will start believing there are millions of people who care about this case. There aren't. There are so few people. In the true crime community, and I'm talking the true crime community, not the drama club in the cesspool known as YouTube. But this is not the true crime case that people are actually discussing, as is evidenced by YouTube, by what we see going on. What other channel do you know of where they're actually discussing the case? Shrimp Cocktail, you make a very good point. Parasites and psychic vampires infiltrated the true crime community. Ain't that the truth? And I see the same thing going on with the case of the little missing girl, too. The same thing's happening. The same little parasites and psychic vampires and vultures are circling. There are a couple of channels that are really decent that are looking at that case. I don't mean everybody. But it's just like the case of Christopher Watts. There are some real people who actually do discuss true crime cases. And then there are a whole bunch of others who are just a bunch of scumbag attackers who are just lining up, maybe because they're told to, maybe because they're trying to supplement their monthly paycheck. And I say paycheck in kind of a air quote sort of way. Maybe they're just losers who are looking to belong to a pack, regardless of how disgusting the pack is that they are trying to belong to. Think for yourself, says people are so infatuated with the case, because no, I don't think there are that many people infatuated with this case. I don't. I think the actual number of people who are interested in the case of Christopher Watts is very low. I think very few people are actually interested in discussing this case. And I think those people who are interested in discussing the case on YouTube are all right here. Because if you look at the other channels, what you see are a bunch of scumbags who are reading their scripts repeatedly. They're not even shy about it. They sit there and act like they're squinting to see the screen or whatever. No, they're reading their scripts. They can't even create their own content. They're reading what they're supposed to say. So it's just weird. It's weird beyond belief, right? To think that so many people would take part in an organized attempt to silence others from feeling free to discuss a true crime case, right? Shrimp Cocktail says the scats are pissed because other cases are taking precedence. That is so true. They're watching a little 5-year-old girl pull some of their more active, associates. And they're probably looking at the case of Christopher Watts now and going, oh no, who do we fight with now? What do we do? What if our numbers start to slide? Exactly. Exactly, shrimp cocktail. I agree with you. So it's just so weird, all of it. It's just so weird. You know, if you put in the search thingy Chris Watts or Christopher Watts and you hit for the filter today, there's nothing there. I don't know. Try this one on for size. What do you think of this idea or this theory? Do you think that maybe the scumbag attackers that were recruited right off the bat, right at the beginning, do you think maybe their contract is over? Do you think their channels are really getting shut down, or do you think that maybe their contract's over? I don't know. Maybe their contract's over. Maybe their work is done, right? Could be. And then who's discussing the case? Us. Hey, Ray, are the babies sleeping? Should I whisper? Or actually, we should get you some earbuds so they don't wake up. Christy says, only thing that's got me thinking is theory about CW being so heartbroken. But I remember crisis actors. Shrimp Cocktail says they've been sad fishing with pics of the kids lately. It's disgusting. Family deaths shouldn't be marketable for profit on social media. I think it's interesting how one of the scumbag attackers started off one of her live chats, which was nothing but hate and harassment all the way through toward the end. But she started off claiming that she had a death in the family. I think that's very interesting. And I wonder if they think that those claims are exclusive to themselves. You know, you can start off your video and say, oh, we had this terrible tragedy, and oh, it's okay, I'll be strong and we'll get through it. And I just want everyone to get along. And then you finish up your video with bashing and promoting hatred and harassment against others and lying every step of the way while you keep looking at your script to see what you're supposed to say next. Like, do they think we're that stupid? Do they really think we're that stupid? And I think the answer is yeah, or they're hoping we are, but of course we're not. And don't you find it interesting that when some of them are doing their pretend fighting with each other, that poof, all of a sudden the video disappears? And in other cases, it takes 2 or 3 days for the video to disappear. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who's taking down what videos? Ray says, watched a live weeping, then 15 minutes of bashing. There you go. Oops. Shrimp Cocktail says, the Watts case is so dirty, the public can't even be privy to the truth. Exactly. It would expose too much of how effed up the system and society really is. And you know, if you didn't begin to question for yourself just how effed up the system and society really is based on the details of the case of Christopher Watts alone, then you sure as hell got convinced over the next 3 years watching the scumbag attackers in action. There's something seriously wrong in our world when we see so many people with so many serious problems putting even their own children on display right in front of the camera. making some of the claims that they make, acting as if they're proud of their criminal records, acting as if they're proud of abusing drugs, acting as if they're proud of their dreams or nightmares about murdering people, acting as if they're proud of their little mantles they create, right? Threatening to murder others. This is normal? I don't think so. And yet, it's what has been happening with the case of Christopher Watts right from the start. Just look at the video of the one we call Molly Go Hump a Dog. How can anyone begin to think that humping with your dog is normal? Are you kidding me? And yet for 3 years we're hearing, oh, she's so wonderful. What? And then her little sidekick, Robbie, that some of the shit he's pulled. Oh, he's so nice. What? Or the one who everyone just loves, who claimed that she had a, whatever it's called, a SWAT in the middle of the night. And I said, why didn't the dog bark? And people started to think about that. I don't know. The dog barks at everything else in her videos. Why didn't the dog bark at the claim? I guess there were 10 police cars lined up. Seems to me the dog would have barked. I don't know. I mean, if the dog's going to bark at the electric guy, the meter reader, right? We're lied to over and over again by the scumbags. So then I guess the go-to is to just lie, right? But then you step back and go, wait a minute. They're all just a bunch of actors. They're a bunch of sicko, psycho, wannabe actors or failed actors or failed musicians or failed whatever across the board, trying to carve out some sort of an existence for themselves by taking part in a hate campaign. Don't you think it's just really weird how they're calling Cindy Watts names like narcissistic when she's the furthest thing away from ever being a narcissist? She actually worked for like 40 some years. She actually had a job, something that none of the scumbag attackers do. She's actually intelligent, something that none of the scumbag attackers are. So they bring out this pack of animals, rabid animals, to attack the grandmother of Bella and Cece? Is that part of what they're trying to normalize, is to abuse grandma? Or is it that the people who are attacking just naturally hate their own grandmother or naturally hate their own mother or naturally hate themselves, more likely? That it's okay for them, I guess, to be abusing Bella and Cece's Mimi. Happy Angie says they are singing gospel songs over there right now. I have no idea where over there is, but I can kind of guess. My guess is the one who likes to hang crosses on the wall behind her while she promotes hatred and harassment against innocent people. That must be her role in the organized attack, is to be the one who claims to be a Christian. Is that part of the BS, is to try to make Christians look bad? Do they need their Christian on their team to show such hypocrisy and hatred toward others? Again, you know how we talk about the case and we say people who actually do have lupus are offended by this case. People who have actually experienced fertility issues are offended by this case. I think people with any autoimmune disorder are offended by this case. People who actually do work are offended by this case, right? And we're supposed to look at this and say, oh my goodness, she was just bossy. She didn't deserve to die. Whoever said anybody deserved to die? But watch out if your focus happens to be on what happened to poor little Bella and Cece. Because then, well, you're jealous. You're just jealous of the woman who most of the scumbag attackers don't even know how to spell her name. You want to pretend like you give a shit about Christopher Watt's wife, then you might want to start off by learning how to spell her name. Christy says, MM is lecturing us today. She's up on her podium, public speaking. Shrimp Cocktail says, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that. So we're supposed to be accepting of child abuse, right? And any child abusers who, I guess, as long as they get in front of their audience and say, well, they don't really say they're child abusers, do they? They say other things. They say it in their own little way, right? And then when people say, hey, where are your kids? Well, then they're quick to block them, aren't they? Because they don't want to answer the question. But they're the first ones in their hate and harassment campaigns to accuse others of not having their kids. You can always tell what they're up to by what they're saying about others, right? Which is how this whole attack scheme started. There were 5 different areas that they were attacking people with, and their attacks were identical regardless of who their target was. And their targets got together and said, what the H is going on? And they compared notes and said, no, I've never filed a bankruptcy. Have you ever filed a bankruptcy? And then, yes, I was part of that targeted group. I said, I wonder if bankruptcy is an issue with the case of Christopher Watson. Sure enough, bankruptcy was an issue with the case of Christopher Watts. They were saying that all of us that they were targeting at the time were lying about our career and our education. So we said to each other, I wonder if Christopher Watt's wife was lying about her career and education. And at that point, we thought she was a retired nurse. And we found out that she was lying about her career and education. Shrimp Cocktail says, how about the CK getting terminated? Spicy, huh? Well, do you think that she got terminated? Or do you think that she played a part in her own termination? Christy says, I'm loving that we are getting her every day. What? Oh. Christy says, yes, CK going down. I enjoyed her video on why What? I don't get that. I'm wondering though, Shrimp Cocktail, if the whole thing of CK's channel getting terminated, if that might not have been part of the plan. I'm not sure. There is a channel that's covering the supposed case, right? He's a lawyer, he's a licensed lawyer, and he's tearing apart the court filings. And it's actually pretty interesting to listen to. And he made a couple of good points. I don't know. I just wonder about the timing of everything. It just seems kind of odd to me. Shrimp says she was doing some, I thought I almost said shady. She was doing some dirty shit. Well, she's the one who was calling my home at 1:07 a.m. with her little fake robo app voice, right? But she evidently didn't think about whether or not her phone number would come through. So, sure enough, we found out who it was. But maybe the whole terminating her channel thing was actually part of a bigger plan. Maybe there was a contract that was lost or not renewed. Or maybe somebody decided that she was too much of a liability to have on the team. I don't know. Well, the part that was bothersome about the middle of the night phone calling was that it was over 2 years after she first started attacking me. It's like, really, lady? Really? Christy says, yes, Spacebound. I knew nothing about the Morphew case. She was first one I listened to, and it actually made sense what she was saying. There's another case that seems very strange, doesn't it? Like, where have the true crimers gone? Is this what YouTube wants? Is to have a bunch of channels that they're somehow able to offer the opportunity to harm and harass people? But at the same time, they're trying to silence. I don't know. Is it a YouTube thing? Or is it just an evil people thing? I don't know. And I wonder about that case, the Morphew case, if that's going to be yet another one like the Scott Peterson case where actual physical evidence isn't going to matter as long as the world believes that he's some kind of a bad guy. Spacebound says she's a good speaker and entertaining. Really? If you think that that's a good speaker and entertaining, ouch. Shrimp Cocktail says she plagiarizes other people's content. She was completely useless to me other than the laughs. I don't know. I'm sitting here just looking at this comment. Spacebound, are you kidding me? Seriously? I mean, you're serious, right? I don't know. You guys remember that one monologue, right? Which was found online. It was an article. Do you really think she was a good speaker? I don't know. And maybe that's kind of the scary part of this entire exercise in futility over the last few years, watching what's been going on. Because if you honestly believe that she's a good speaker, then that's just shocking to me. And it tells me you need to hear good speakers so that you can compare. I'm shocked by it. And that was part of it too, when the truth of what they were doing, some of the nefarious acts they were committing, when the truth was coming out, and it wasn't just with one or two or three channels, it was like 30, 40, 50 channels. When the truth was obvious as to what they were doing, that people would still watch their stuff. Well, Spacebound, if you think she's a good speaker, then I think you need to hear better speakers. I really do. I think that she possibly had people writing things for her to read for her monologue. But beyond that, I didn't hear any good speaking going on. Christie's moving on from the Watts case to the Jonestown murders, or the Jonestown suicides. You know, that's a really good point, Shrimp Cocktail. She plagiarizes other people's content. And look at the armchair detective, same thing, right? Look at all the hullabaloo right now about how he's claiming he discovered whatever, and everyone knows somebody else discovered whatever. And yet, do any of his subs care? And if you were around day one or early on, then you might remember one of the first things that the scumbag attackers started saying about me was they were saying that I plagiarized my books. And I just wondered, like, what? Number one, how do any of these dumbasses know how to even spell that word or what the word even means? Although I'm not sure they do know what the word really means. But my books are opinion essays. So how does one plagiarize an opinion, right? And then 3 years later, plagiarism is a real thing within their community of bullshit. So I think that's interesting. It's part of the gaslighting that they've been taking part in for 3 years. They accuse others of exactly what they are doing themselves. He is. And I don't know if he actually watches any of the other videos and then he just naturally takes from what he has heard, or if his little team of writers, right, gather up the information and then write his little script for him. I don't know. So what do you guys think are, I would say, what do you expect will happen next? Because I think even the scumbag attackers are getting kind of tired. Do you think they're just going to keep going round and round, fighting about how proud they are of their criminal records? Or do you think they'll rush right off to handle the case of the 5-year-old, the little missing 5-year-old, if they see their little partners in crime making more ka-ching than they are in their live chats? And you know, I touched on it already, but I'll say it again. YouTube is free. So why are all these people e-begging? And why isn't society going, okay, this is weird? Why would anybody pay any money at all to take part in a live chat on YouTube? Or could it be that actually people aren't paying money? Is that just how they get paid for their dirty work? Christy has a family who is rebelling against having to hear anything about the case of Christopher Watts. Shrimp Cocktail says they'll do what they're told when they're told to do it. Exactly. Spacebound says, I do not pay any YouTuber. Good for you, Spacebound. That means that you're not super, whatever that's called, however that goes, for the one who really isn't a good speaker who you think might be a good speaker. And with the videos gone now, we can't show you examples, so that's too bad. But we could probably take a look in the vault and find a few examples for you. The only one that comes to mind right off the top of my head is somebody said something about NA, I think, or her son getting interviewed, and she said, they were never interviewed. And people in her chat were saying, yes, they were. And she was like, no, they weren't. You're going to have to show me proof. You know, because they were just peasants and she was the queen. And she was so wrong. And that was the day that I remember thinking, she doesn't know diddle squat about this case. Christy says she's waffling. I should get in my spot and too much information. So Shrimp Cocktail, what do you think they're being told to do now? What do you think their next move is going to be? Because to me, it seems like they've been circling the same track lately, like to where they're even getting obviously bored with what they're trying to do. Shrimp says, did anyone happen to see Purple Witch's Laura's hazardous candles she was selling? They were catching on fire. Oh, I missed it. Dang, I missed it. I did see that Beast something channel saying that she's leaving YouTube, or she's leaving this community. Christy says, weird and very likely the MM says their jobs and contracts are done. I think that might be possible. I do. I think that the channels that are supposedly getting shut down, I think the contract's over. Shrimp Cocktail said Shorty came back today. Oh, brother, are you kidding me? LOL, lots of love. Well, that wasn't a very long hiatus there. She should really go on sabbatical and maybe, I don't know, research the cases that she's trying to discuss. It's interesting. I can tell by the channel comments that most of the scumbag attackers are no longer working the case of Christopher Watts. And remember, I think there are far fewer of them than how they try to make it appear. But here's a comment that was posted 10 hours ago on the channel. It says, wonder who the sick one is. Over 3 years, you're still making money off the deaths of 4 people. I'm not hater, nor am I under a alt. Move 1 mm. Aren't you intelligent enough to do another case? You care nothing about Cece or Bella. You don't have any doctor records, so you're, Y-O-U-R, biased. Oh, no, that was proper, sorry. So your biased opinions are irrelevant. Oh, the scumbag attackers love the word irrelevant. P.S. The sale of the house would have paid, not would have paid, would have paid. The same writers, let me tell you, would have paid all the bills with enough for another down. Bullshit. Obviously, you didn't do any research on that. In fact, your only research is her posts on Facebook. And what Cindy Watts said, another Shanann hater. I thought you took this to Patreon. Go do something for the living children if you care so much. And I replied, your comment is laughable. I was kind of wondering about that too. And here's the cute thing. I haven't posted a video to that channel for many weeks at all. And then out of the blue, a cookie cutter comment gets posted. I think that the truth actually is coming out. That a lot of people haven't even heard of this case. And that many people who have heard of this case don't care to discuss it. And yes, Bella and Cece are what matter. They are who matter. And also Cindy Watts. I think Cindy Watts also deserves to have people speaking up on her behalf and saying, okay, there's something mighty fishy about what we've seen happening over the last 3 years where a grandmother is being vilified on social media. Will people stand by and watch and go, what the hey? What's going on? Right? Christy says, time for the spot. I will be quiet now. It's weird. It's just weird. It's kind of, I don't know the right word, but it's just weird right now. They don't have anything more to say. They aren't even fighting well with each other. I think they've all really lost their steam. I wonder if YouTube is even paying attention anymore to any of the infighting that's going on. Who am I kidding? I don't think YouTube has ever paid any attention to any of the infighting that's going on. One thing I found interesting earlier, I was looking for one of the photos because I'm on a different computer. And oh my gosh, have you guys Googled, what's it called? Google image, whatever. And just type in the name of Christopher Watts' wife. And the photos that aren't there are very telling. Very telling. Where's the Google image thing? Oh, here's something interesting. Let's take a look at this and see what it says. Let's see how the false narrative has fared. Oh, for Pete's sake. She's listed as an American businesswoman. Excuse me? Let's stop right there. I lost you guys. Where are you? There you are. She's listed as an American businesswoman. What? An American businesswoman. Maybe she should be listed as an MLMer. I'm going to make the print larger here. It says the Watts family murders occurred in Frederick, Colorado, United States, during the early morning hours of August 13, 2018. Christopher Lee Watts admitted to murdering his pregnant wife by strangulation. He later admitted to killing their daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, by smothering them with a blanket over their heads. So they're running with the February narrative, right? The February of 2019. On November 6, 2018, Watts pleaded guilty, blah, blah, blah. As part of a plea deal, when the death penalty was removed from sentencing, whoa, put the brakes on. Was the death penalty ever removed from sentencing? Because I don't remember seeing that the death penalty was ever on the table. Let's see here. Background. Christopher Watts and Shanann Rusak were from North Carolina. Christopher from Spring Lake and Shanann from Aberdeen. They met in 2010 and were married, blah, blah, blah. On November 3rd, 2012, the couple had 2 daughters, Bella Marie and Celeste Catherine. At the time of her death, Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with a son who was to be named Nico. The Watts family lived in a 5-bedroom home in Frederick, Colorado. Are they counting the bedroom in the basement? Which they purchased, actually he purchased it in 2013 and declared bankruptcy in 2015. And then Christopher was employed, blah, 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 while Shanann worked from home selling a product called Thrive for the multi-level marketing company Laval. Actually, this is pretty generic. I'm surprised. Interesting. Pretty generic. I'm curious who's been paying attention to that. You know what I'm saying? I figured it'd have a lot more about Christopher Watts being a monster and his wife being a saint. Okay, now my search, back to the images. American businesswoman, my foot. So we have the image, boy, right at the top is the one of her when she was pregnant with Cece. And everybody was pushing that as if that was her pregnancy photo with the timing right before her death. But no, that was when she was pregnant with Cece. Just in case you haven't heard the truth about that yet. Huh, interesting. Smile, smile, smile. Hand on hip. So I guess, I'm not sure, but I guess it must be pretty easy, right? To scrub the internet. Yes, she was a nurse, Shrimp Cocktail. Not only was she a nurse, she was a retired nurse. Nobody knows where she retired from or how it is exactly that she could call herself a nurse. Oh, I should go check that out and see. We'll go back to that and see. Oh, it won't let me go back farther. Okay. We'll try this again. Oh, it disappeared. Nope, there it is. Okay. So if we go to background, maybe. No, yeah, it doesn't say anything at all about any education. Huh. It doesn't list the in-laws' names. Have you guys ever seen the obituary? Let's see what that looks like. This is from the Sand Hill Sentinel. Okay. From the Sand Hills Sentinel. News in the Sand Hills. Oh my goodness. They're using that picture. Shanann Catherine Watts, 34, and daughters Bella Marie Watts, 4, and Celeste Catherine Watts, 3, and unborn son Nico Lee of Frederick, Colorado, died on Thursday, August 16, 2018. What? What? What did I just read? Did you guys hear that? They died on Thursday, August 16 of 2018. It says a funeral mass will be held at 1 p.m. in September. Shanann was born January 10 in New Jersey, blah, blah, blah. Bella was born December of 2013 in Colorado. Shanann was so excited to have her first baby girl. She spent every minute thanking God and taking care of her precious gift that the Lord had blessed her with. Celeste was born July 17 in Colorado. Oh, how Shanann was so excited to be able to have another child because of her battle with lupus. She was determined to stay healthy, and with her love for her Celeste, every moment with her was a blessing. Shanann wanted one more child, praying for a baby boy. She named him Nico Lee. With the anticipation of her son to join them, she knew he would be loved by his sisters and family. Huh. Interesting. The family is survived by, and then you read and you scroll and you look and you search, and you don't see the names Ronnie and Cindy Watts at all. At all. There's no mention at all of Ronnie and Cindy Watts in the obituary. So they lost their grandchildren, and nowhere in the obituary are their names listed. Huh, I never noticed that before. Interesting. Let's see if there's a different one. Maybe there's a different one. Let's see what's on the funeral home page. I think Ronnie and Cindy should go ahead and write their own obituary. Because in my opinion, they should definitely be listed in their grandchildren's obituary, for Pete's sake. But isn't that interesting that right off the bat, Cindy was being treated as if she didn't exist? Okay, let's click on obituaries. And in the search, either my computer is very slow. Come on, let's try it again. What's going on? Okay, I have the name in. Sort by name. And nothing's coming up. Why? Can anyone help me here? I'm going to put the link in, copy, and where are you? Dang it. Where are you guys? I've lost you. There you are. Okay. Here's the link to the funeral home. Okay. Can anyone help me try to find can anyone help me? I was just reading that thing because I blocked that same profile already and it just came back. Check out that link I just posted in the chat and see if you can find the obituary of Christopher Watt's wife. Okay, good. Thank you, Sandy. Shrimp Cocktail says, not enough room for Cindy to exist among all of Sandra's lies, scandals, and secrets. She was eliminated, just like SW said, when she was done with the Watts after Nutgate. I'm shocked with the obituary that I just read that the paternal grandparents were not listed. And now, so I hit the link to the funeral home, thinking, well, maybe there's a longer obituary there, right? So I clicked on the link, I hit obituaries, and then it gives you the search, right? I clicked on name to search by name. I'm doing it again while I'm talking. And so now I'm putting in Shanan, Shanan. I'll just put the first name and see. Nothing. Why isn't there anything? If Think for Yourself is still in the chat, you might want to take a look at this. Let's see. Google. We'll try it again. obituary. Okay, that's the one I just read. And I didn't know they died on the 18th. Is that what it said? The 18th? Okay, here's the Fayetteville Observer. Here's an article. And then it says, oh, he's been charged. Yeah, he's been charged. I want to see the obituaries. Huh. Google. What funeral home handled Yeah, that's the funeral home. And yet, when I go to that funeral home and I put in her name, we'll go there again. Enter obituaries. Search. Let's search by the other name and see if that comes up. Nope. Uh-huh. Interesting. Nope. Let's do it this way. Now I'm just searching for any last name Watts, and it doesn't come up. Okay, what's going on, you guys? Somebody explain it to me. What the heck's going on? I tried that, Sandy. I tried that in the last name. I tried just searching just by first name. And just now I tried Watts, and I went through all the people with Watts in their names, and it isn't there. So why? Oh, Shrimp Cocktail has a link here. Let's take a look here. Okay. I don't know if I can copy that or not. No, I can't. Okay. Burial, Bethesda, Cemetery, Aberdeen. Burial, Bethesda, Cemetery, Aberdeen. Okay, what else did you say? Oops, where are you? Dang it, I hate this. There you are. Moore County, North Carolina, USA. Moore County, North Carolina, USA. Moore County, North Carolina, USA. Okay. Find a grave. Let's go there. Last name. There it is. There's the picture. View source of the memorial ID. Created by Carrie B. What? What? This is weird. This was just added, it says, on August 23rd of 2021. This was just created on August 23rd of 2021. Interesting. Oh, okay. No, it wasn't. It's been there for years. It's recently updated due to comments. Ooh. Huh. The plot thickens. Now, this says she died on August 13th, but Wikipedia says I think the 18th. So I still want to find an obituary that has Cindy Watts' name in it. Let's see here. Let's keep trying to find that. We'll go Cindy Watts. Oops. Highlight the whole friggin' thing here. Come on. There. Cindy Watts' paternal grandmother to Bella and Cece. Let's see what comes up. Nothing at all. Interesting. So I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard of an obituary not including the paternal grandparents. But of course, I've never seen a true crime case that vilifies the paternal grandmother either. Ever. So back to the scumbag attackers. Could it be that maybe they think that Cindy has stopped talking now? So maybe they're going to back off? Maybe it's not even about the case. Maybe it's about trying to have so much chaos and confusion going on that they want to make sure that Cindy is too afraid to talk. Maybe that's it. Exactly, Sandy. Exactly. I agree. Could it be that they were actually recruited to try to just focus, I guess, on being able to frighten her into. Because remember, Cindy Watts told me that the night before Nutgate that her daughter-in-law told her some pretty interesting information. And remember that the channels that are claiming that they're shut down, well, didn't they have direct contact with Cindy? Could it be that their job is done, right? Whatever that job was. Did you guys hear about the postmark? I don't want to get too deep into this other supposed case, but one of the channels that is claiming they're shut down is supposedly involved with some sort of a civil action. And in the response to whatever, They're stating that they don't have the financial means to travel to fight the case. And the plaintiff points out in their response to the response to the response, blah, 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 that it's interesting that their response was mailed from Hawaii. I thought that was hilarious. Like, yeah, sorry, I can't travel to that state because I have limited means. And then they postmark it from Hawaii. That's cute. Thunder Before Lightning says obituaries are written and paid for by the family. If they wanted to be included, they can pay for their own. If your kid killed my kid, I'm going to be less than considerate of your feelings. Well, I guess. But where I come from, obituaries include the truth. Susie says, oh, I see, Jeanette. Not Aberdeen capital. It's fog and dull. But it will lift by Monday to sunny. And Thunder Before Lightning, I think, regardless of what happened, I really believe that Bella and Cece, in my opinion, and Cindy Watts too, I think they deserve to have their paternal grandparents listed. Just look at those videos. Look at those photos. Bella and Cece absolutely loved their Mimi and Papa. And you can tell that their Mimi and Papa absolutely loved Bella and Cece. Sure seems to me. I don't know. Maybe they should do their own obituary. And maybe they have. I don't know. Maybe when they built the memorial in their backyard, maybe they had an obituary written also. But it's an interesting thing to analyze because while they were being hated on and harassed for not attending the funeral, right? In my opinion, that's nothing to be hating on them for or harassing them about, given the situation. But what have we heard for 3 years? They didn't even go to the funeral. And typically they're saying, Cindy didn't even go to the funeral, so what about all the other family members, right? Same with the wedding. Cindy didn't go to the wedding. Shrimp Cocktail says it's all about pandering for money at this point with their non-existent battle for victim blaming laws that'll never exist in this Watts reality anyways. Susie says, nope, it's not. I wouldn't have either, or the wedding. And if you want to talk about who has a touch of class, that would be Cindy Watts for not attending the funeral. And for the wedding, too, for that matter. It's like the touch of class doesn't get recognized for what it is. Maybe we should write an obituary for Ronnie and Cindy, for Bella and Cece, and list their grandparents. So look at the hate, look at the harassment. Something as simple as recognizing how special they were to Bella and Cece. And yet, what do we hear from the scumbag attackers? Cindy never loved her granddaughters? Really? When we all know better. And so did Bella and Cece. Blue Autumn says, what's happening with the house on Saratoga Trail? Boy, you tell me. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? We'll go ahead and do a Google search. A gurgle. We'll do a Google search on the Saratoga Trail. House for sale. I'll put in auction. Foreclosure.com. Let's see what that says. Five bedrooms? Where were the 5 bedrooms? Are they counting the basement? I hope not. Investor opportunity. This property is being offered at public auction on 9/18 of 2019. Really? Visit auction.com now to view additional photos. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And that was over 2 years ago. Well, almost over 2 years ago. Here we see, it says, overview. This single family is located at Saratoga Trail, blah, blah, blah. It has 5 bedrooms, 4 baths. Huh. Oh, you have to sign in to view what the opening bid would have been. Let's see who owns it. I'm curious. Do you guys know who owns it at this point? Let's see, that'd be Frederick County Deed Information. Let's see who owns the house. Online deed search. Not you, not you. I just want Frederick County. There we go. This is their official website. Let's see here. I hate searching these websites. No, I don't want to record a deed. I want to search a deed. Oh, here's a YouTube. Are you kidding me? I'll try this again. Oh, it isn't Frederick County. Duh. That's my problem. It's Frederick, the city. Weld County. Okay. That might help. So let's see here. We'll go to let's go to owner information. Here we go. This is interesting. Owner name, Christopher Lee Watts. I thought this house was foreclosed upon. And it also lists his wife's name. So that's interesting, because wasn't there a different quit claim deed? Let's see what they're saying it's worth this year. It says November of 2021. Wow. It isn't even November of 2021 yet. May 1st, 2021. Current year actual value, $571,000. Yeah. You believe that? Does anybody believe that? $571,000. Jeanette says no, but Chris Watts received a letter telling him to mow the lawn. Okay, everybody, let's use a little bit of logic and reason. In 2018, Christopher Watts was arrested and charged with murder. In November of 2018, Christopher Watts was convicted and sentenced to prison. And he's been in prison ever since. And I highly doubt he's been making any payments to the lender in the meantime. So why is it that 3 years later, the owner name listed is Christopher Watts? And why is it that the name of his wife is on the deed at this point when she passed away in 2018? Why? Why, if anybody else gets sent to prison and they go 3 years without paying their house payment, does the house get taken by the lender? Why, in that time frame when we've been told that the house was foreclosed on, right? Then why, in that time frame, wouldn't the deed information have been updated at the county? What's that about? Why is it that with the case of Christopher Watts, all of these basic, simple, little kind of obvious details seem to get overlooked? And you know what the real question is how many days do you believe it will be, now that we're having this live chat and we're talking about it, that suddenly the owner name on the website is going to be changed? Any bets? I wonder. $571,000. Boy, that was a mansion. Please. Let's see. November of 2015. Let's see what it was listed at in November. $443,000 in November of 2015. That's really interesting because the year before it was 300 and something. It went up like 50 grand or something. It was 376,000 in November of 2014. 376,000. And then we're supposed to believe that in 1 year that it increased to 443,000. It, I guess, appreciated in value a whopping $67,000 in 1 year. Yeah, okay. Okie dokie. And 2016. Well, that's interesting. From 2015 to 2016, it supposedly jumped over 60 grand in 1 year. But from 2016, wait, what? It says 2016. Oh. From 2014 to 2015, right? Okay. From 2014 to 2015, the house supposedly jumped in value over 60 grand. And then from 2015 to 2016, it didn't jump in value even 1 penny. So you tell me, is that how appreciation works on real estate? Do you think that when you buy a brand new house in an area where brand new houses are built and you move into it, do you think that the next year it jumps up in value 61 grand? I don't. And if you know that there's a house that jumped in value $61,000 in a 1 year time frame, then what do you expect would be happening the following year? Well, obviously, if it's in an area where property values are, skyrocketing, then obviously the next year you would see some sort of appreciation, right? Nope. It said 0. Is that how it works? So why is it still in his name? I'm kind of curious about this whole property evaluation. It jumped over 60 grand and then poof, it didn't jump 1 penny. Robin says maybe because of a civil suit filed by the R family, it has to remain in CW's name. Okay, that makes no sense at all. The question is, who owns the house? So the question is, if Christopher Watts still owes the house, then who's been making the house payments? Why hasn't the lender taken the house, right? And why, if it's a foreclosed property that was scheduled for auction on September 19 of 2019, right? Why is it showing up as being in Christopher Watts' name? So was it foreclosed on or not? It was scheduled for auction. Why was the auction canceled? And why does Weld County still list the house in Christopher Watts' name? Let's see what else we can see. Document history. I wonder if that other quitclaim deed will show up here. Let's see. Nope. Nothing. Let's look at the building information. Interesting. I've never seen this before. It says for the exterior, it says frame hardboard. Interior, drywall. HVAC, central air to air. Frame hardboard? Huh. Frame hardboard. Exterior. What is exterior hardboard? Hardboard siding, also known as pressboard, really? Is a synthetic home siding product composed of a mixture. They had pressboard siding? Hardboard siding, also known as pressboard, masonite, or hardboard siding, is a synthetic home siding product composed of a mixture of wood fibers, glues, and resins, all bound together using heat and pressure. So their house had pressboard siding? I don't know. When we built our houses, we made sure it didn't have pressboard at all in the house. Pressboard siding? Robin says they don't build them like they used to. I bet you it's a 2x4. Let's see if it's a 2x4 or 2x6. Bet you it's a 2x4. Let's see here if we can find out. Drywall. So you would think, as much as everyone talks about how amazing the house is, that it would have had some actual plaster somewhere. Let's see here. 5 bedrooms. I bet they're counting the basement. Okay, they had a fireplace, gas, one of those. It says they had an appliance allowance, 1. The balcony was wood, and it says 120. So what was it, like 12 feet by 10 feet? Seriously? That's it? Okay, they had a full daylight basement. That was with those little window wells that we saw the Eric Estrada look-alike high jumping out of. They had a fixture allowance. They had a fixture in bath number 3 and a fixture in bath number 5. I thought they had 4 baths. I didn't know they had 5 baths. I thought they had 4. Fixture, laundry, sink, garage attached. So 2004 square footage is in the basement? What? And it's an 8-foot basement? It's not even a 9-foot? Okay. So 2004 of the square footage. Huh. Interesting. I can't tell if it's 2x4 or 2x6. Isn't that interesting that it's still showing up as being owned by Christopher Watts? Lisa says, actually, it was a crappy house. SW complained about it for at least the first year. Oh, okay. Robin says there were 4 bedrooms upstairs in the loft area. So there were the 3 bedrooms plus the loft area, and one downstairs that was her office with the ugly shoe closet. So why would the deed still have Christopher Watts' name on it? And now, how many days after we are discussing this will that information be changed? Lisa, I agree. I cannot imagine that if I'm working with a home buyer and they want to buy a brand new house in that location, in that area, that they would be paying more for something that they could be having the builder build for them, right? And they could have their own brand new house. Lisa says, yes, the house wouldn't be worth shit if Chris owned it because, like you said, no one is paying for it. Interesting. So I wonder why they haven't auctioned it. Chipboard, hardboard siding. Oh, this is interesting. Why was masonite siding discontinued? For homeowners that wanted something lower maintenance than wood but disliked the look of metal and vinyl siding, masonite was made to fill the gap. The result being that masonite is no longer being produced due to problems arising after installation. Really? What is hardboard siding and why does it fail? When it comes to choices for siding for home construction, builders have quite a few to work with. The quality, workability, and costs vary greatly. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. On the high end of siding options, there is faux, stone, brick, and stone veneer, wood, fiber cement, and engineered wood. At the least expensive end of the siding product spectrum is vinyl, stucco, aluminum, and steel, and composite board, which fall roughly in the middle of the cost range. The product we typically consider to be traditional hardwood siding is a relatively inexpensive material that is easy to install. Wow. I had no clue the house had hardboard siding. The problems with hardboard siding. First, we should go back and look at what happened to the original hardboard siding masonite. This product was invented, not inverted. It was quite popular in the 1930s and 40s. Blah, blah, blah. Real problems began in the 70s and 80s. In some cases, the boards rotted away, and then the homeowner sued. Today, similar tempered hardboard is now a generic product made by many forest product companies and is often erroneously referred to as masonite. Modern hardboard siding products are far superior to the traditional materials. However, there are still some disadvantages to using a wood-based siding product. Panels that have been improperly stained and sealed, for example, will allow moisture to make its way underneath the siding and cause mildew. In addition to product quality, improper installation can lead to moisture problems that can degrade the effectiveness and expose a house to mildew and moisture-related problems. The most common problem we see with this siding type is installation error. The biggest cause of dry rot in hardboard siding is inadequate water diversion, flashing around gutter to siding transitions. Okay, let's think about this just for a quick second. There were two little girls living in the house who were supposedly sick all the time, right? Did anyone ever check the environmental quality? You know, the quality of the air? I wonder. Robin says she Googled it and it says that CW technically still owns it. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, there's something weird. As is the norm for anything related to the case of Christopher Watts, I cannot think of any reasonable, logical, even comes close to making any sense, possible reason whatsoever or excuse for Christopher Watts' name to still be on the deed. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. I'm going to take a look at the taxes. I think I'm going to take a look at the taxes. Let's see. Christopher Watts. Here it is. I want to see if the taxes have been getting paid. Special assessment, sanitation special. Total billed 8,000 or is it 6,000? I can't see it. Hold on. Let's make it bigger. $6,713. Okay. Here are the receipts. Receipt from June 11, 2021. Someone's paying the taxes. Let's see who's paying. Oh, it looks like Christopher Watts. Check number is listed here. Somebody paid $3,356.75. Thank you for your payment. Huh. Really? This is interesting. It says under payer, it has the address. So on June 11th of 2021, there was a receipt issued to Christopher Lee Watts for paying $3,356.75 in taxes. Really? February 22nd, 2021. Let's make it larger. February 22nd, 2021. Here's a receipt from the Weld County Treasurer to Christopher Lee Watts. And it says it looks like he paid $3,356.76. So it looks like he paid half in February. Isn't that interesting? And half in June. June 10th, 2020. Well, he must be making some good money in prison. $3,446 in June of 2020. Christopher Lee Watts. February 25th, 2020. Christopher Lee Watts. June of 2019. Christopher Lee Watts. Wow. That was only $2,900 back then in June of 2019. I wonder how he's paying his taxes from prison. I guess if he can pay that kind of money in taxes, he should be hiring someone to mow that lawn, right? Huh. Isn't that interesting? So he can pay over $6,000 a year in taxes. Huh. Huh. And let's face it, if the house is still in his name, then evidently someone's making the house payments. Otherwise, it seems like the house would be owned by the lender, right? So who is paying for the house on Saratoga Trail? Somebody's paying for it, right? I mean, it was scheduled for auction, and then all of a sudden the auction was canceled. I think I'll go ahead and Google auction canceled and see if anything comes up. Auction canceled. Saratoga Trail. Watts. Chris Watts, 2825 Saratoga Trail, auction canceled again. February 20 of 2020. I wonder who's paying the house payments. Canceled, 2825 Saratoga Trail. Auction.com, canceled. This property has been canceled at this time. So it was up for auction and it got canceled. And it was up for auction before this one, too. So it would have been canceled twice. So did somebody buy it back out of foreclosure? Google. Auction canceled. Saratoga Trail. We'll try it again and see if there's the first one listed. March 9, 2020. Murder house delayed again. January 10, 2020. Auction of the murder house rescheduled again. July 2019. Saratoga Trail no longer available on auction website. Okay, here we go. The auction of convicted murder, blah, blah, blah. This is a Denver Post article. It says auction of convicted murder, Christopher Ross, Frederick home rescheduled for next year. Huh. Frederick home of a man convicted, blah, blah, blah. The house will be auctioned January 8th for failure to pay principal and interest. The continuation marks the third since the original April 17 auction date, which was moved to September 18, then October 23rd, and finally next year. So it says that Mr. Watts owes $349,000. And that was in September of 2019. Public trustee Susie something or other said she couldn't speak to why the auction date had been continued, emphasizing that the decision is up to the law firm, which represents the lender, Chase Bank. And Chase Bank did not respond to requests for comment. So isn't that interesting? So he owes $300 and some thousand. He's arrested and in custody. Where does it say that, Robin? Because the receipts from Weld County have Christopher Watts' name. Ray says, I'm awake. That makes one of us, Ray. Okay, this makes no sense at all because he's obviously in prison, right? Or so we're told. So he's obviously not making the house payment. So why hasn't the bank taken the house and auctioned it off? Robin, if you can type in the comment section whatever the website is where you found that, I'll look it up. Susie says, so where do the R's come in all of this as the lien was mentioned in documents ages ago? That has nothing to do with anything. All that means is when the house is sold, then they're able to lay claim to whatever monies might be available after the lender gets what's owed to them. So he initially, at the time of the tragedy, owed 300 and whatever $1,000, right? What was that amount again? Let's see. 349, 938. So he owed 350. He owed 350 on a house that was probably worth about 400 at the time. Okay, I'll do that, Robin. Who is paying the taxes on CW's house? Okay, I will do that. Google. Who is paying the taxes? It would help if I would spell it right. There we go. So you're just taking it from Reddit? I'm yawning a lot, you guys. We're going to probably finish up here pretty quick. Are you just looking at whatever Reddit has, Robin? Okay, I'll go to the first thing that came up. It's a Reddit thing. Oh, I don't like Reddit. It looks so messy. All these different, I don't know, sections. Okay. It says this thread is archived. New comments can be made. I don't see the answer at all. It says property tax is paid up to date. Two comments. Oh, I don't see the answer, you guys. Oh, this is interesting. What was Shannon Watt's salary? She had been working in a call center at a children's hospital, really? When was that? Lots of misinformation going on here, isn't there? Oh, here's an article that was posted on August 17 of 2018. This will be interesting. Colorado with finances before a man allegedly killed pregnant wife. That's interesting that they said the word allegedly because a lot of the news articles at the time did not use the word allegedly. Can you hear me now? I've been awake. I've been sitting here talking. When I clicked back from one of the things, it said something went wrong and I had to re enter the studio. Did you guys hear me read that part of the article from August 17 of 2018? I'm awake, you guys. My thing just kicked off and I didn't know it because I was off reading an article. Did you guys hear me talk about the article from it was dated August 17 of 2018? Oh, you can still hear me. Okay, good. So I think that's really interesting that the article is saying that he confessed to killing the girls when he didn't. No, it's rain, Susie. I'm sitting near one of the sliders. It's raining out. It's raining really hard. Well, this is kind of freaky, isn't it? Because it makes no sense that Christopher Watt's name would still be on the house. It makes no sense that the receipts for the taxes would still be in Christopher Watt's name. It makes no sense that Christopher Watts would be getting a letter in prison to mow his lawn, right? Just like everything else with the case of Christopher Watts, it makes no sense. No, Ray, I'm not in the shower. No, it's just the rain. I think I've mentioned it before. There are many sliders in the house. And I actually have three. One, two, three. I have three sliders, a big window. I have three sliders across the living room area. And then I have a big window on the other side. Okay. There's three sliders. And then up to the corner. And then on the other wall, there's a big window, and then the fireplace, and then another big window. So I have all three sliders open plus one of the big windows, so you can really hear the rain. That's probably why I'm yawning, because there's nothing better than a nice rain shower to start feeling sleepy, right? So there's something fishy. There's something fishy going on. Why hasn't the house been auctioned off? And who's paying the tax bills? And why? Huh. Why would it be that they wouldn't have auctioned it off at that very first auction? What would the problem have been? Do you think that it might be? Is a toddler ready to go fishing? That's cute, Ray. Do you think it might be that? And think about this. It might sound like it's kind of out there, but so what? But do you think it might be that at the last minute somebody didn't want the house to sell just in case there might be trace evidence? You know, like in the pipes? Why would the house still be sitting there? Not foreclosed on, not sold, when we were told it was foreclosed on. What is going on? Yes, keep it as a secure crime scene. I mean, think about it. Let's say a bunch of us got together and bought the house, right? And then we went ahead and hired the best of the best to come in and gather evidence, right? What if we found something? What if we found something? Huh. You guys like hearing the rain? I didn't realize it was that loud that you'd be able to hear it. Oh, Ray, good thinking. We could start a GoFundMe. We could say, let's buy Bella's house. This is the kind of rain I don't mind. When it's a storm, then I'm always like waiting for one of the trees to fall. Did I whine to you guys about the other day when the tree went down? It wasn't the other day. It was like couple weeks ago. I was sitting here kind of going, I should probably go downstairs because the wind was really whipping up. And I was just having that thought like, I should probably go downstairs. And then kaboom, like the loudest kaboom ever. It was what was it? A white ash, I think, which I was told are known to snap like toothpicks. That sucker was huge. And of course, they always land right across the driveway, right? I imagine other ones are landing other places and I just don't notice them. But when they land right across the driveway, I notice them. And then the electric company was fun. Your service will be turned on by 9 p.m. And then, at 9 p.m., it was, your service will be turned on by 1 p.m. Your service will be turned on by Friday at 9 p.m. And then on Friday, they said on Monday by 9 p.m. It was like, what? When I called that time, I'm like, which hotel are we supposed to be going to? Like, which hotel are you going to, And the woman was so professional. It was really cute. She goes, I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't offer that service. She was fun. Robin asks an interesting question. Who still has the keys to the house? Ray says, yeah, ticker tape my details. Huh? Because I know how to ticker tape now. Oh, here we go. Ray says, I'll start my own channel. Weeping at first on every live, then super chats. Are you referring to the one who had a bash fest earlier? Yeah, if anyone was ever trying to convince me that she wasn't a scumbag attacker, I think she kind of proved it, didn't she? Oh, can you guys still hear the rain or no? It's still raining, but it isn't as loud as it was. So, okay, I just took a look at the time. And I think Ray says, I was surprised she did such a monologue, to be honest. Oh, exactly, Susie. You were so right. Oh my gosh. And I didn't even listen. I just clicked on and confirmed. And I hit report and I went ahead and told YouTube a little bit of what she's made of. Yeah, she's a special one for sure. Well, Ray, if you listen to what she said too, she's just lying. She's just lying every step of the way, as usual. That's what they do. And then she's obviously being used as nothing more than the little breeding ground for hate and harassment in her comment threads, too. It's ridiculous. And what they do is they use the scumbag attackers who have zero assets, who have zero to lose, right? who have zero reputation to care about anyway, they put those right out front to commit the defamation and to commit the slander, to commit the libel. That's how they do it. And I'll tell you it's the same BS for 3 years straight. It's as obvious as the day is long. And I just would say the bottom line, it really sucks to be her, to evidently feel so hopeless and helpless in her sad little life that she thinks her only ability to achieve anything is to take part in such a scumbag existence. And I feel sorry for her daughter, big time, who she's encouraging to get going on YouTube. I feel sorry for her because I really think her daughter is very intelligent and obviously very hardworking. And I really wish she had maybe a better example to follow, because, her daughter's an adult, right? She's going to be watching this and thinking, oh, this is the normal routine for YouTube. It is not the normal routine for YouTube to have to join in and belong to a pack of animals, a pack of rabbits. Not at all. Yet that's what she's watching, right? That's what she's observing. I think the daughter will do well, and I don't mean on YouTube. I think she'll do well because I think she's intelligent, and like I said, she's intelligent and hardworking. So I think she'll be fine. I just hope she doesn't follow in the footsteps, that's for sure, thinking that the whole YouTube experience is anything close to normal. I don't know. It's weird. It's so weird. But it's been weird from day one. The truth is hard to come by with the case of Christopher Watts. And the truth is hard to come by with all the scumbag attackers, too. It's a parallel dilemma, it's a parallel mystery to the case. Well, Ray, if you notice, she was reading her script, though. She had to kind of stop herself and read her script a few times. I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought the way she and the little blip that the part, because I get emails and then people send me links and tell me a timestamp. So it's hard for me to even know really, to even remember which one is what people are telling me and which one is what I've seen. But the part that I saw, she was trying to do the facial expression thing. And then I scrolled down and saw the comments, and so they have all their psychos on Adderall posting their smack in the comment threads. That's how they do it. It's exactly how they do it. And again, what they want, what I've observed over the last 3 years, what they're hoping for is by using their scapegoats, then all of you who are actually interested in discussing the case, then you're going to be too afraid to actually discuss the case. Because did you pay attention to what she's doing? She's trying to say, like, oh, the way she talks about Christopher Watt's wife. Really? You think she gives one itty bitty ounce of care at all about the case? Has she ever discussed the case? Has she ever joined in the discussion? Because, we've seen her join in the discussion here a couple times and she didn't seem offended at all, did she? No, because she's reading a stupid script. And when you're buddy-buddy with people like Robbie, gee, I wonder where the script came from. Susie says, I hope the new hate channel takes her down. But the thing is, the hate channel is full of the same people, and I don't mean the person who started it, but the people she has up on her panel are the same people who are doing the same thing. These are all the same people. They might be on different little groups or gangs or whatever, but they're all the same. Because you remember the one who was attacking us, 2 weeks ago, right? She's on the hate channel. And I don't mean the one who started the channel. I'm talking about who she had up on panel. They're all doing the same thing. They're getting their scripts. They're getting their topics for the day. They're getting their talking points. Okay? They're all the same. It's just which little team they're on or which little gang they're on. And like we said earlier, I think that other case is going to pull a lot of them. Susie says, I know it is, and they're using MJ as their front. I'm just saying, same or not, I hope they take her down. And I'm not talking about MJ. I'm talking about that one that was going after, what's her name? Guacamole. You remember that channel that came on to take down Guacamole or whatever? Well, she turned out to be one of them too. And then she's hopping up on the panel of the one who's trying to take down the recliner lady. I mean, they're all the same. They're all part of the same routine. They're all probably trying to be the one gang that gets the contract, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe they're all working together. I don't know. I love the way she said conspiratorial or whatever. Like, ooh, there's a big word for you, sweet cheeks. There's a big word for you. And they're all using the exact same playbook. And notice nobody's discussing the case, which is what they're there for, is to just keep the chaos and confusion going. And evidently to throw a bunch of big words around, like they're supposed to know something about, well, there for a while it was all about narcissism, right? And that trauma lady, oh, she's the worst of the worst. Oh my God. She is the worst of the worst. Even her facial expressions, the way she's like, yeah, like she just, well, she's another example. she started off trying to do the virtue signaling, but she didn't have anything to back it up. Yeah, I cannot stand the trauma lady. She's so fake. Oh, you know how we talk about how offensive it is to people who actually do have lupus to, I would say, question whether or not Christopher Watt's wife ever did. It's the same thing with the trauma lady. How dare she? How dare she be abusive to other people while even having the word trauma in her profile name? As for the recliner lady, I actually thought she was funny. But once I report someone to YouTube, to the legal department of YouTube, then I don't watch them anymore. Funny or not. And I do hope, seriously, on a serious note, I do hope that her daughter goes on to achieve, even though. Oh, that's cute, Ray. Ray says my oldest just said, yes, how dare she? Then asked what the heck I'm listening to. How dare she? Ray says I need to go before I confuse them further. Susie says I've always said she's funny, but it's a big no from me on the rest. Yeah, I'm not going to watch her again. I'll continue to submit reports if I see more garbage coming out of her mouth. But pretty much, it's hard enough to keep trying to see the good in someone when they surround themselves with so much bad repeatedly. But once the garbage flows, nah. And that whole virtue signaling thing was just so lame. That part of her little acting routine didn't quite meet the mustard. I think that the hump a dog one was probably a hard act for the other ones to follow, because I think the hump a dog one had a lot more experience at all this harassment and hatred and everything. So I think the people recruited to try to, follow in those footsteps, they're just not, their acting skills are just not up to snuff. They're just not. I don't know, maybe the money was too easy at first for them to really up their game. Surely there must be some sort of online acting classes for them to take. I don't know. Oh, Ray, there's no way. There's no way at all. I mean, these people didn't just suddenly turn into scumbag attackers. You have to be a scumbag attacker to act like a scumbag attacker. I think it's pretty clear that their goal is, well, let's just say that it's clear, I think, that they're money motivated and their standards are so low that over time we see their prices are not very high. Yes, Susie, I agree. Plus, we keep hearing the same story over and over again, don't we? I mean, pretty much they're all singing the same little tune. And then what's their go-to line? Oh, she says bad things, right? And what is it? I'm trying to think. Did she say that I said that Shannon's pregnancy wasn't Christopher Watts or whatever? I think what I said was, wait, I'm plugging in my thingy. There. My screen started going darker. So I plugged it in. But I think what I did, I'm not sure, but I think I read somebody else's comment. And then I said, I think there are a lot of us who agree with you, I think was what I said. But of course, translation in scumbag attacker world is, Miss Mensa said blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. If you have such trouble with comprehension, maybe you shouldn't be opening up your mouth. Yeah, exactly. They're using the same scripts over and over again while they're trying to pretend like they're not using scripts. Well, if they want to pretend like they're not using scripts, they really need to start using new scripts. Because the newer ones who jump on trying to make their little pennies, they don't realize how many times we've heard the same scripts before, right? Blue Autumn says they all enjoy being worse than the very people who they are all against. Meanwhile, they're doing exactly the same thing. That's because they're all doing the same scripts. They have nothing else in their little toy box to play with. Yep, they do their little, well, I don't know. What, did they fail, I guess, in high school acting classes or something? I don't know. So in the meantime, how many of the channels are discussing the case of Christopher Watts? 0. How many channel creators are discussing whether or not it's okay to give children Benadryl and Tylenol at 6:30 every night? How many of the channel creators are discussing whether or not it's okay to give your children lots of Tylenol? They expect us to feel what? Shame-filled for discussing our concerns after we watched all those videos and saw all those Facebook posts? They want us to feel shame-filled because we happen to care about the fact that poor little Bella and Cece were supposedly sick all the time? Why would we feel shame-filled about that? Here's the thing. There's a special place in hell for abusers. And in my opinion, there's a special place in hell for people who try to make excuses for abusers too. There is absolutely no shame in looking at the case of Christopher Watts and noticing the look of fear and the look of sadness in little Bella's eyes. Why is it that a bunch of strangers can watch a video and we can clearly hear Bella say that she wants food, that she's hungry, right? Yet her own mother said, "Oh, you want a laptop? What do you do when you want something? You put it on your vision board. You're damn right. We're going to talk about how Bella was being treated. You're damn right we are. And you're damn right that we're not embarrassed. We're not ashamed. We're not apologizing for discussing what we saw in all of those videos and all those photos and all those posts that her own mother posted right online. Spraying your child in the face with water and laughing and saying, this is why we had kids. Did you see little Cece watching from inside the house with her fingers in her mouth, standing there, just watching after Christopher Watts shut the door on Bella when she tried to run away? Yes, we're going to talk about it. And we have nothing to be ashamed of in wanting to discuss what we noticed that we would think that others would have noticed too. My dog just purred. Did you hear him? He's snoring. He's probably like, why are you still up? Go to sleep. I think that Bella and Cece deserved, when they were alive, to have people advocating on social media, because remember, their own mother put them all over social media. Well, in my opinion, Bella and Cece deserve to have people on social media stand up to the bullshit. They were still alive. The fact that we're standing up and noticing what we feel, many of us feel, should have been noticed by others while the girls were still alive, the fact that we're noticing it now and that we're discussing it now, in my opinion, is nothing at all to be ashamed of. Yes, the Christmas video, very disturbing. Those vision boards are not for small children, especially small children who wanted to be fed. Just reading part of that wiki thing, you know, when you first do the Google and it comes up American businesswoman, there's nothing shameful about discussing the fact that 99.9% of the people who sign up for those product-based MLMs fail to even see 1 penny of profit. There's nothing shameful in discussing that fact, because if one person can be helped by not ruining their family's finances trying to, make it big with one of the product-based MLM companies, then hallelujah. If they can be helped by our discussion where we're pointing out over and over again that 99.9% of the people who sign up for those product-based MLMs fail to ever see a penny of profit. Well, the same is true about discussing what poor little Bella and Cece suffered through, because if one child can be helped, if one child can be safer because of something that somebody learned in one of our discussions, then hallelujah. So they can send all their little goons to lie and to do all their hateful harassment and bullying and their public display of, I guess, their criminal records and their drug abuse and whatever else they've got to be proud of. They can, and they have for over 3 years straight, they can keep on pounding and pounding and pounding. And guess what? They can all just kiss our asses, because we're going to discuss this true crime case just as we discuss every other true crime case when there are children involved who should have been safe in their own home. And on that note, I think it's time for all of us to get some sleep. What? Okay, we have a new one here, Susie. Take a look at this one. Is this the Armchair Detective channel? Am I in the right place? Like I said, they'll keep coming and coming, right? And I guess we're supposed to be afraid of them. I guess we're supposed to be so afraid of them that we're afraid to keep discussing this case. But we're not afraid of them. And I'll tell you why. Because good is never afraid of evil. And on that note, let's all say goodnight. I'll start us off with good night, John Boy. I'll try to touch base this weekend for sure. Maybe tomorrow night, but probably not. Probably more like Saturday or Sunday. So let's do this again. Susie says, good night, Grandma. Blue Autumn says, good night. Let's do this again soon in the next day or two. And until then, everyone be safe, be happy, be healthy, and know that you are loved. Good night.